Hello and welcome to Wrestle Opinionated, the Wrestlemania special. We are your hosts. I'm Morg, and this is...
International Man of Mystery, Matt Strange.
And we are here this week for a special episode to do something a bit different, which is give our thoughts on the show that is Wrestlemania. So...
I watched a Wrestlemania.
Yeah, I was going to say, so how many years is it since you've watched a WWE pay-per-view?
It's got to be between 6 and 8, maybe even 10. I remember Brock Lesnar, and I mean, that's been a while. So I can't remember the last time I watched a Wrestlemania all the way through. And I've watched it twice now, so I could get these notes. So I hope there's some appreciation, because some of these ones were an effort to go through. An effort.
Yeah, I can imagine having to watch them twice was not exactly fun. So why are we deciding to do this? We decided that we'd review WrestleMania because it's WrestleMania. No matter what, it's the biggest wrestling show there is. It was a good excuse to get together online on Discord and watch some wrestling together, because we're not allowed to sit in the same house.
Listen to my fiance scream about Dolph Ziggler repeatedly.
She does seem to be a bit of a Dolph Ziggler fan.
I don't think she actually really knows who he is. I think she just decided that she liked the name, or she saw him in something minor, because she didn't even watch the match with Otis. That's when she sort of passed out from ADHD and alcohol. So such great lines as "maybe there's a little bit of Dolph Ziggler in all of us" come from no place of wisdom. There's no established knowledge there. I think it's just the name.
He has got quite a legendary name. So, as always, in case this is your first episode, we have a tier system of how we review, and it seems really sensible until you get to the end. And I'm now going to hand over to Mr. Strange, and he will explain our tier system very quickly.
Okay, so tier systems obviously come from Japanese computer games and animes and such like. They've become quite popular on the internet. So running these down, I've decided to explain each tier to use a variety of Kurt Russells. So in D, we've got Dean Prophet Kurt Russell from the film Overboard, where he essentially kidnaps and brainwashes a woman into a fun romantic comedy. That's not okay. That's not good. D, we don't like that sort of thing in films. In C, we've got our solid match, a good film we can enjoy. Not perfect, doesn't take us anywhere. We've got Captain Jack O'Neill, Stargate Kurt Russell. Good film, personal favourite of mine. I know a lot of you like the awful television series. In B, good. We're going somewhere strong. We've got either a good story or some good action going on. I'm pleased. We've got Snake Plissken Kurt Russell, always a powerful character. Moving into A, it's the next step up. We've got good story. We've got good action. I've enjoyed the entire thing. At no point have I got bored or looked away. That's an R.J. McCready Kurt Russell, obviously from possibly the greatest film of all time, The Thing. And in S rank, the perfect match. Everything goes down from combat to story. It fits in with the setting and storyline. I've had a great time. It is, of course, Jack Burton Kurt Russell. That's the tier system for today, Morg.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
I'm having to get inventive.
Yeah, you're going to be running out of these soon. So, without any more to be said, I think we'll just go straight into our review. What we're going to do, I'm going to quickly just run over what the match was and the finish. And then we'll just discuss what we thought of it. And you can give it its rank and the overall rank for WrestleMania. So we start on night 1. This was a 2-night WrestleMania due to all the issues that are going on at the moment.
My first note says, annoying man in glasses does nothing for me. I believe that is Gronk.
That's the one, yeah.
Is he entertaining?
He's an ex-footballer who is the friend of the other guy who came on stage with him, which is Mojo Rawley. So I've just got the Gronk and Mojo Rawley being hyped. He was the host of WrestleMania. He helped Mojo Rawley win the Andre the Giant Battle Royale, I think 2 years ago.
All right, okay. So he's like an associated sportsman, but not a wrestler.
I believe he's training to be a wrestler.
All right, okay. I won't rip on him too harsh. Maybe I just, I'm not invested in the character yet. But I just generally found him a little bit annoying. Sorry,
I think
guys.
that's the problem with him, with people whose gimmick is let's be hype.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't sell well to my British cynicism.
This is true. So the first match of the night was Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross versus the Kabuki Warriors, which is Asuka and Kairi Sane, for the Women's Tag Team Championship. Alexa and Nikki win after Alexa lands the Twisted Bliss on Kairi Sane's legs.
I'm going to write down, was it Nikki Cross?
Yeah.
As we learned throughout this WrestleMania, I have a bit of an issue with not knowing everybody's names, because this match was titled Japanese Wrestlers I Know versus Alexa Bliss and Friend. So
Nikki's a Scottish wrestler and is brilliant.
Oh, cool. +1 patriotic point for her for being over the border from us.
Yeah.
Like a nearby cultural bonus for us. I had a good time. It didn't blow my mind. Obviously, the Kabuki Warriors were previously Joshi, and I've seen them in a variety of Stardom matches and stuff, so I was automatically excited for it. Nikki Cross really likes screaming, doesn't she?
I think that's what they're doing to try and cover. They're being very loud in the ring to try and cover the lack of crowd. So I think that was a theme throughout the night.
Otherwise, it was a solid match. Nothing really made me go, wow, other than the Kabuki Warriors hitting a Doomsday device, which made my day. I don't know if they do that often, but seeing as I've got my little anime figures downstairs set up performing a Doomsday device, and it's always amused me as, it was deadly, realistically deadly. It was kind of nice to see one be hit by a tag team. But yeah, otherwise nothing really made me go, wow, but it was good, solid, could have been a bit shorter maybe, but yeah, good, enjoyable.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah, it has some of my favourite women's wrestlers, as I've said before. I really enjoy the women's wrestling, especially on WWE NXT.
I've seen why this weekend, if I'm honest. I'm going to be horrible to a few matches, but the women's largely solid. I had a good time.
You've got just so many great people on there. It's only recently I've really come around to Alexa. I'm a sucker for a babyface. She was a really good heel, which meant I automatically dislike her, because I hate to be that smarky fan that only shouts for the heels. But she's just become so much better. I thought the match on the whole was really good. I really enjoyed it. It had Kairi and Asuka in, who are two of my favourites.
Yeah, they're fabulous. Just solid entertainment.
I didn't mind them losing at all. They've had the belt.
Yeah, I didn't register if that would be good or bad either way. It seemed fine to me, their exchange of belts. Unlike things we will discuss later.
Yeah. So WWE have had this Women's Tag Team Championships because people have asked for it. And I know you commented on it. And they have done nothing with it. Nikki Cross and Alexa are the first two-time champions. And there have been 4 teams have held the belts.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So it needs to be hyped up and go somewhere, and this could be
They just don't have enough teams. They didn't do, when they originally put it on Sasha and Bayley, they were going to go to NXT, go to SmackDown, go to Raw, because it's a floating belt, and they were going to defend it all over the place. And then they stopped doing that when the Iconics won it.
Is one of those dating Sean Spears? Or married to Sean Spears?
Possibly. They're Australian.
Peyton Royce?
Yes.
Cool! Look at me with my
shameless love of Sean Spears.
Shut up, he's wonderful. Okay, yeah, cool. I know those. They did they were like comedy Australians or something.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it's just sort of sat since then by the look of it. So it's good to have a Passover.
Yeah, I mean, Asuka and Kairi have done stuff with it just by being Asuka and Kairi. But yeah, I don't have an issue with it moving. Alexa's a big baby face. That's always a good push forwards. And the eventual split between Alexa and Nikki will probably be interesting and will lead to some good matches because they're both so tiny.
Tag team gets belt. Tag team splits. My favourite.
Yeah, that's the one. After that, we had a match that probably had more noise in the crowd than it would have had there been a crowd. It was Baron Corbin versus Elias, and Elias wins with a roll-up and a handful of tights.
I wrote down 80s man originally because it took you guys quite a few corrections of me to learn Elias was Elias. But I love that man's look. He looks brilliant to me. He's either a Macho Man reborn, or he's what happens when Seth Rollins powers up like an altered beast. He just gets bigger. There's a Super Saiyan 2 Trunks reference there, but I don't think you're going to get that one. But, I was bored, but it was all right. Yeah, that was a match. I can't really remember what happened. My primary comment seems to be the Altered Beast joke, which I've been saving for a while. Fine, I don't think it was technically bad. Just, was it short?
It was thankfully quite short.
I've written a C. I think it's got fine written, as opposed to normally where it just says C, or I enjoyed that. So, what do you did you think it passable, or was it just boring? Because boring's bad.
Corbin, I like as a promo. He's a really good, obnoxious heel, and Elias, and he's not hideous, and he has a really nice finisher.
Oh, the spinny full back thing.
The end of days, and he does another one, Deep Six, and I don't know why, but I love that as the name for a finisher. The Deep Six.
I've not seen that. I'm going to type it into Google right now.
And I just like it as a name for a finisher. Elias, again, is a great promo guy. Better as a heel because he goes out and sings songs about the other, wherever they are, as football team, that classic American way of getting heat. It was two great promo guys who are okay wrestlers having a match.
And had an okay match.
It was a C. I would say it was a C. It was a low end C, but it was a C.
Yeah, I think we're sort of agreed on that one.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it was a D because I watched.
I don't remember thinking this is shit or thinking they're botching anywhere. I was just like, average match I would expect to see somewhere in a weekly show, maybe not a pay-per-view.
I think, yeah, that's the problem. It was a SmackDown show. So after that, we had our next title, which was Shayna Baszler versus Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship. Becky wins by pinfall after rolling through the Karabuka clutch.
She could have parked closer, couldn't she?
Oh,
she parked that truck pretty far away. I was like, oh, I like trucks. Bit of Optimus Primal of going down here. Ah, a bit far away. Maybe she just misjudged it. I've written down Shayna Death Dealer 1 versus 4 winner Combat Master and only threat to Becky versus Becky. Because that's what I got from the promo beforehand and what I know of Shayna Baszler. Does Becky have any threats? I obviously I've been following via small Reddit comments and posts I see from other people for a while, and I appreciate that Becky was the underdog, rise to the top, Rocky, woo, sort of, she's the face, I'll beat the challenge kind of character, who hasn't had any challenge in a while and got given a big monster challenge and just basically ate it.
Yeah, she went from Stone Cold Steve Austin to Hulk Hogan in the space of a year.
I've written Hulk Hogan down on here, actually. My favourite comment I got from this when I was asking Nick for advice, because he keeps up with WWE a bit more than me, and his response was, she got ricocheted.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it was once again, I've written it was fine. One of my earlier comments was, I'm still waiting for a move. I believe there was just a lot of slapping and choking and grappling and such like. It was fine. It wasn't a bad match. It didn't excite me. The Kabuki Warriors one was definitely more fun and exciting. Including story and how champions should be portrayed, we're in an age now of not the Hogan Cena champ. People don't like, baby faces who sit at the top with no challenge. And I've heard it argued that it's because Shayna's got no personality, but you can slap on a Jim Cornette or a Paul Heyman onto any heel.
I was going to say,
destroyer. You know.
Why not put her in a stable with Brock Lesnar?
Yeah, you've got Girl Brock. Look.
And have Paul Heyman be her mouthpiece.
Hopefully with better matches.
She is phenomenally good in the ring, Shayna. She's really got it. I mean, I know we talked about MMA people coming to WWE, but when Brock cares, more about that later. But when Brock cares, he can have phenomenal matches. You probably haven't watched it. I would say go and watch Brock versus AJ Styles.
I've heard
that is a
fantastic
match. And when Ronda Rousey came, she just got it.
Yeah.
And Shayna just got it. So yeah, I thought the match was all right. It was good. I was a little bit more invested. I was very invested in Becky last year when she was the Stone Cold Steve Austin. They basically made her turn heel on Charlotte. Got into the title match that Becky was in, and basically stole Becky's victory. Becky turned, and the crowd did not take the turn at all.
Oh, really?
Becky turned, slapped Charlotte, at which point the crowd chanted such things as "one more time" and cheered when Becky slapped Charlotte. And it was supposed to be Charlotte being the face, and Becky was supposed to turn heel. And
I mean, Charlotte's not very facey, is she?
No, and the crowd really, really got behind Becky. And it was 2 weeks until she had become full-on tweener Stone Cold.
Oh, fair call.
She had 1 week of a pure heel promo. The next week was a much less heel promo. And then it was just, oh, we need to strap a rocket to her because the most over person in our company right now is Becky Lynch.
The thing is, you've got to stop that rocket occasionally so they've got somebody else to go past. If there's no challenge for your hero, it's not a hero.
I put this as an upper C, lower B. I thought Shayna was fantastic. I thought the match was good. I'm guessing you've given it a C.
I've given it a C. It was solid, didn't really blow my mind. And the ending made me conflicted even with my limited amount of WWE knowledge.
That was the problem. It's become a thing at WrestleManias where the wrong person wins. More on that later. I'm still bitter. I am still very bitter. Shayna really should have won this. After NXT, the stuff she did in NXT, where she was virtually unstoppable, she got beaten in NXT. So
I say, didn't she? All I know is her main feat is she beat all 4 people in the Elimination Chamber.
She got beaten in NXT 3 times. Once by Ember Moon. Do you know Ember Moon beat her? By rolling through the Caribou clutch and pinning her. She was also she beat Kairi Sane for the championship. I think it was Kairi she beat. No, she didn't beat Kairi, sorry. She beat Ember for the championship. Then Kairi Sane faced her, and Kairi Sane beat her. Do you know how Kairi Sane beat her?
Was it the same thing?
Oh, yes.
Oh, God, she's got one weakness.
Yes, and she hasn't learned from it. Rhea beat her by beating the living crap out of her and then beating the living crap out of each other. That was a great match.
That's right. I mean, I have seen Rhea in 1 match now, and I am a fan. More on that later.
Yeah. Rhea beat my favourite women's wrestler, and I didn't care. That's how much I now like Rhea.
I mean, I'm not going to lie, she sold me on the Dragon Ball Z Punk.
Well, for me,
we should come to our Rhea love later. Apparently,
for me, Toni Storm, who's in NXT UK, Rhea Ripley was the first NXT UK Women's Champion, and she beat Toni Storm. And Toni Storm is the big Motley Crue fan.
Oh, nice.
And that's very much my favourite band. So I have a very big bias towards Toni Storm. She even wears Nikki Sixx's makeup to the ring.
I imagine it's cool. Sorry, wrong genre of punk for me.
Yes.
I'm going more into skateboards and Hawaiian shirts.
Yes. So after that match, we had Daniel Bryan with Drew Gulak versus Sami Zayn with Shinsuke Nakamura, though he might just be Shinsuke now, because I know they don't like people having two names, and
Oh,
Cesaro.
what?
I'm surprised Daniel Bryan isn't just Daniel. And this was for the Intercontinental Championship. And Sammy wins with a kick as Bryan leaps from the top rope. I think they tried to suggest it was the haluva kick, but to me, the haluva kick
they said a word.
happens in the corner when the guy is in the corner and he runs in and basically face washes them with his boot. It does look awesome. What did you think of Ultimate Indie Match?
I did. It is, in fact, just titled Indie Match on my sheet. I'd like to open up with the fact that Sami Zayn's music is a banger and that the ref looks like Teddy Hart, which isn't a good person to look like. I had to check halfway through that with other people who were watching it that Sami is meant to be a pussy. I was like, he's just being really cowardly and snivelly and trying to avoid... Is this what he should be doing? And I got reassured that was okay, that was good character work. And it was fun throughout, like I enjoyed the banter between them, I enjoyed the scene. I was waiting for a wrestling match to break out. But in all honesty, viewing this as television, not as, just a wrestling show. Viewing wrestling as what it is, it's not a show about wrestling, it's a show about wrestling. I was entertained for like 10 minutes or whatever it was. I mean, sure, you could have got a cool match in there, but for a little entertainment section, get the theme of the characters across, I was quite content. I gave it a C. It was, not exactly WrestleMania wrestling, but as a TV section, cool.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I thought there was some nice little bits. I like the fact that Drew Gulak took out Shinsuke and Cesaro, but he seemed to take them out for a long time with a clothesline over the barrier.
No, it's about as average as one Edge fall down by the from what I've learned.
But more on that later.
More on that later. Yeah, it's wrestling, isn't it? Like, people get knocked outside the ring and then they're gone. They're gone until they are needed to be resummoned again. It's like not being able to walk up a ladder. Yeah, no, it was good. Good TV. Solid. I don't really remember much of the match other than Sammy being kicked an awful lot. And then him kicking a falling man in the face, which I'm willing to buy will knock you down for 3 seconds.
These two guys, they worked stiff as hell this match. They were very stiff. But they when Shinsuke came to NXT, Sammy was the guy that they chose for him to have his first match, for Shinsuke to have his first match. And you can imagine the King of Strong Style came in, and he came in as the King of Strong Style. They didn't pull many punches there. So, Sammy, for a smaller guy, he's got no issues with having a strong, stiff match.
He's been through a bunch of the silly indies like Chikara and such like as El Generico, obviously. He was working with Kenny Omega like long back then, so stiff work and Japanese work. So, and especially with Shinsuke, who is essentially just sort of semi-retired. I mean, I know I can go on about NJPW, but NJPW is like always stiff and looks rough as fuck. And this man's a bit of a legend over there, and it's quite nice that he can have his stiff matches, but not be expected to be thrown on his head or like hurtled onto the ring post on his spine in his twilight years. He might be the only Japanese wrestler who really survives.
Yeah, he's the man from a couple of years ago with the wrong person won against AJ. Yeah, against AJ Styles. AJ Styles won at WrestleMania after Shinsuke won the Royal Rumble.
It's so weird, all these wrestlers who I used to watch in like TNA and stuff being big, and NJP being big WWE names.
Well, AJ is something special, as we'll get on to later. So yeah, on from that, we have the 1 versus 1 versus 1 for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship.
The belts on a jazzy coat hanger match.
Oh, yes. Kofi versus Jimmy Uso versus John Morrison. And Morrison wins and retains after all three of them unhook the carabiner together. But Morrison falls off and takes the belts with him and is declared the winner. What did you think of the match? What score did you give it? I thought this was a banger.
The first time I saw it, I don't think I probably got to watch it and take it in. Obviously, there was the crowd, lack of crowd and hype, and I think that cost it. But afterwards, yeah, I had a fun time. That one ladder throw into was it an Uso? Man in white t-shirt. Kofi
Yes.
hurled a ladder at him in midair, and I was like, oh my god. That Spanish fly from Morrison, it was solid, it was entertaining. A little busy at times, maybe my only criticism. Because there was 3 of them, so obviously you don't even get 2-on-2s and they're split up, and there was a lot of ladders going on having to be reshifted. But otherwise, yeah, great. I thought it was really good. I gave it a B. Because as far as I'm aware, the story was improvised based on the fact that, like, most people can't make it due to the plague.
Yes, Miz has been caught ill or something similar, and couldn't make it last minute, as far as I can tell. I thought this was a great match. Those guys went out there and virtually tried to kill themselves for our at home's entertainment. I put this low A, high B.
Cool.
I thought this was certainly match of the night of night 1. In-ring match of the night.
In-ring match.
I'm being very specific there.
I don't even have notes for the last one. Yeah. My only real criticism, by the look of it, is I've written is Kofi's ladder dive move wasn't as good as Phoenix's ladder dive move.
Kofi's a strong contender to be up there along with Ray for the most ridiculous guy at throwing himself around.
Everyone in that match was fabulous, and I had a great time. But it's cruiserweight flippy shit. That's what I love. That's what I'm here for. Cool moves and nice sequences, not just big meaty men slapping meat.
And more on that later.
More on that later.
So then we moved on to Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens wins by DQ after Seth hits him with the ring bell. But the match is restarted at Kevin's request as no DQ. And then Owens wins with a stunner, having previously leapt off the Mania sign onto Seth. What did you think of the match, and what score did you give it?
Tyler Black versus Kevin Steen.
Yes.
With new information that... obviously, as I've said a couple of times, I watch wrestling in its own canonity. Like, if I watch Star Wars or anime or various nerd series, I expect the setting to be consistent. I don't care how bullshit the setting is, as long as it's consistent. Which means there is a very likely probability Seth Rollins could actually become a god. Just want you to think about that. Because I thought about that on my second way through. Anything is now plausible. Seth Rollins could become divine.
That means he might have to have a match against Vince at some point, because Vince did wrestle God once.
Yeah, oh God, he has as well, wasn't it? Was it a tag match, or was it just him against God?
I think it was just against God.
Jesus.
No, God. Doesn't matter.
Never mind. Yeah, it was a solid match. It actually slowed down a bit in no DQ time, and I'm not sure pacing it how it did and going, let's have a DQ match right now. Actually, no DQ match right now actually added anything to it. I don't know why it couldn't have just been booked as a no DQ match. Did feel a little bit it was just there just so KO could jump off the big sign, which was awesome, and fair play to anybody who was willing to do or take those bumps.
He certainly got his Wrestlemania moment.
Fucking Wrestlemania moment. They say that a lot.
Yeah, that was part of the drinking game.
Yeah, otherwise it was solid and good. I gave it a C. I didn't really see the point in the break in the match, and it sort of slowed down after that. I understood Seth Rollins' character. I know Kevin Owens' character anyway, because his sometimes amazing promos get shared online. Yeah, solid, good, fair fucking play for that jump and taking it. Like, Jesus Christ, Kevin Owens is not a small man. That was not a small distance.
Yeah, I'm with you. High C for me. A little bit more investment.
Yeah, exactly. You've got the heart of the characters behind it.
I did and didn't like the disqualification finish in the middle. I liked it to a point for the story, and I liked the way they played us. The Raptor was not impressed, and we both sat there. And then Kevin went, right, fair enough, we'll have a no DQ match. And we both went, ooh, this is actually something interesting. This is just a bit different. but all of a sudden the wrestlers can just decide to add stipulations and extend their matches. It's
canon
always
now. Think
yeah.
about it. Seth Rollins' God powers, other things we'll discuss later. Fuck it. Wrestlers changing matches, I'm in. Let's do this.
It's fairly normal on WWE, not always for a good sign. Yeah, I thought it was good. Some nice moves, and that dive will be on promos for Kevin Owens for years to come, and it will look awesome. So next we had Mojo Rawley winning the 24/7 championship.
24/7 champs down after one elbow drop.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works.
Like, I've seen some of the previous stuff. Was it Kofi who had it and was running about doing loads of comedy skits for a while?
That was R-Truth, the guy who got pinned.
I'm not racist. I just don't know their names. I'm very sorry, people who listen.
Yeah, R-Truth is just comedy gold when he wants to.
And then it went to Short Man, who used to be on High Spots, and he had a bunch of comedy scenes with it.
Rockstar Spud.
That's the Badger.
And what his WWE name is. Something.
Thank you for going through his indie name.
Brett Maverick, I think. I can't remember what his. Yeah, I always call him Rockstar Spud when he turns up, so that's why I've never learnt what his WWE name is.
Yeah, and they basically had a bit of the DDT heavy metal weight belt comedy of different scenes of it being lost and taken in a variety of different places and different rivalries, and now it seems to just be just happens, because it just happens again later, doesn't it? Or was that tomorrow? Yeah. D.
Yeah. After that, we have a Paul Heyman promo. Pretty standard Paul Heyman promo. It's good. It just goes on about how Brock Lesnar's going to destroy.
Paul Heyman's great on the mic. He's always been great on the mic. It's just a shame his promos are as long as the matches he's hyping.
That's fair. And then after that, we had Braun Strowman versus Goldberg for the Universal Championship, and Braun wins after 4 power slams. What did you think of the match, and what score did you give it?
Brock Strongman versus I pulled creative control to beat the Fiend Oldberg. Even the announcer man, whatever his name is, when it was coming up, said, and I quote, don't blink, neither of these men work by the hour. He was not wrong. I transcribed this match, blow by blow. Are you prepared?
Yep.
Kick. Both run at the corner. Grapple into a reverse. Spear. 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 Power slam. Power slam. Power slam. Running power slam. That was shit. I've given it an F. I don't think I've actually awarded an F in anything we've done yet, but honestly, my time could have been spent doing pretty much anything better. I'd rather they added that time onto the Randy match. Ooh. It was awful.
Oh.
And, well, I'll be talking about that in a bit. Yeah, no, that was awful. That maybe I've just got too much of the Japan mindset. For me, when you conclude a story, a title, a belt, a championship, whatever you prefer to call it, should matter. And you should have a rivalry, and things should build up, and you should have a match. And I'm not always expecting 6-star, hour-long matches in the Tokyo Dome. I'm not like a Dave Meltzery person, but I do at least expect to watch a wrestling match with moves other than finishers. I have been, though I was informed that finishers don't mean as much in WWE.
That's why it takes 4 of them.
And especially after I hear criticisms of NJPW, AEW, various indies going, all these people, all they do is kick out of all these moves. I can't believe these people kicked out of super kicks. Motherfucker, that match was only finishers. It's not a match.
Yeah.
It's... I'd rather watch a squash match with Brog beating Ricochet in 7 seconds than actually have to spend the rest of the time watching that match.
I think they got caught out by Roman not being able to be there for very understandable reasons.
Yes, fair play to that man. Health and safety for him.
Yeah, I do feel that Roman versus Goldberg would have been slightly better, not much, but slightly better, I think we would have had a little bit more of a
12
match.
moves.
Yeah, I mean, Roman would have been Superman punch, Superman punch, Superman punch, but it was been spear versus spear. I think it would have told that story a bit better of the spear
I mean, there's
versus the
some
spear.
great comedy to do there. Imagine most of them missing a spear and just sliding out the other side of the ring.
Yeah. Or you can also do the story of they both know that the spear's coming. They both have the move, so you can have a lot more
the counter spear,
dodging out of the way, etc. But yeah.
Or what if, because of what we know is coming in the future, what if Roman Reigns was a werewolf?
So I think
I've literally the big dog.
I've held you back long enough. I think it's time to talk about the Boneyard match. It closed night 1 of WrestleMania. AJ Styles versus The Undertaker. Undertaker wins after burying AJ Styles. What did you think of the match, and what grade did you give it?
I think, because we were all on a chat for this, I was quite quiet through the whole night because I don't tend to babble that much when I'm watching wrestling, and all I did was shout yes and laugh through this match. It was phenomenal. Like, I wasn't expecting it. Like, arguably, it's not the best wrestling match I've seen. Arguably, the combat wasn't perfect. Arguably, it was a bit silly and came out of nowhere. But we saw The Undertaker teleport, create fire, defeat an army of evil monks that weren't his lackeys, kill at least 2 men. It was like WWE does Buffy. You could get Joss Whedon directing this, and I would be like, yes, it was fabulous, and it has completely just altered what I thought was going to be. 2 men dead, a dozen more presumed dead. He made his symbol appear on the wall like the fucking Crow. It was wonderful. There's one line which did make me laugh, which is when the Undertaker's got AJ before Sparta kicking him into the hole or shoving him. Should have Sparta kicked him. And he's like, AJ, no one done give me a fight like that or something. I was like, what about the people who've beaten you? What about Brock? Pretty sure he's given you a fight like that. And then he buried him alive! If WWE made this every week, if WWE is willing to fund Lucha Underground, Buffy, Undertaker riding around the country fighting possibly other supernaturally inspired wrestlers, I mean, I'm down. Mick Foley has already requested he can be in the next one. If I get to see him like Mankind, Boiler Room, Murder Fest, yes. This is fantastic, but it does change the continuity of their setting, but not too much, because we know that the Undertaker can teleport already. I don't know if we know he's got fire powers already.
Yes, we do. He is able to control the special effects in the arena.
Amazing.
Yeah. I don't think it would have worked with anyone other than Undertaker. I think that's why people in WWE found it jarring when they tried to do a Woken, they called it the Woken universe, when they did it with Matt Hardy at first. And if you knew about the Broken universe, you loved it. If you didn't, this one I thought was fantastic. And WWE, Triple H has apparently been saying they are probably going to do more stuff like this. This is not the last time you will see this. Seems like they're embracing it. I thought this was a fantastic piece of, other people have likened it to Lucha Underground.
The best, for me, the perfect wrestling show was Lucha Underground, because it's finally accepting that wrestling is a TV show as opposed to sort of dancing on this line we've got.
One of the best quotes I've seen online was, somebody did write the quote, I was expecting Dario Cueto to turn up at the end with 3 guys in hoods over AJ's grave. The rubber hand, apparently, I've heard rumour, they just found it on set and wanted to use it, and I believe it was Taker had the idea of putting it in. Apparently that was partially Taker's idea. Taker was in on it. AJ's acting when he's doing the Please Don't Bury Me, that was actually I was actually a little bit, there's a bit of emotion in there, AJ.
Yeah, like, I wasn't mind blown by the acting, but it was
That was a little unsettling when he was doing.
Please don't bury me.
Yeah, that was like, ooh, yeah, you've got a bit of emotion in there. I thought it was brilliant.
Interesting thing I will bring up to suggest to you, the WWE fan, and any other WWE fans at home. So before that match in the promo, The Undertaker said he was bringing an unholy trinity with him, if you recall.
Yes.
But he did not bring an unholy trinity with him. But he may have killed 3 men via alternative ways that he has been in matches before. The Undertaker has been buried alive, if I recall.
Yeah.
He's been set on fire, if I recall.
That might be Kane who's been set on fire.
Oh, or at least it connects to his story. And there were a lot of falls in that Hell of a Cell match. I don't know much about the Undertaker's history beyond classic moments.
Threw Mankind off the top of the Hell in a Cell.
There we go.
He has buried people alive. So yes, that's
maybe he's making his own unholy trinity with those 3.
Unfortunately, I just think AJ Styles is just going to turn back up on Raw at some point.
Don't say that to me. That will ruin. Okay, it won't ruin everything because this was still a beautiful moment in combat theatre. But he's put a thing up so he's working on like sound mixing. So maybe he's having a little holiday before he comes back from the dead.
Yeah.
Because who knows? He can literally come back from the dead now.
This is true. AJ Styles is the new Undertaker. So from something that was a highlight, we move on to night 2. Are you ready to talk about it? A match.
I am prepared.
Night 2. Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley for the NXT Women's Championship, and Charlotte wins by submission with the figure 8. What do you want me to go
first so you can get angry about it instead of me?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, I started with. I'll do my notes in order. And I'd made a bunch of assumptions about this anyway. Obviously, I know who Charlotte Flair is. I don't know much about her matches, and I got told what her finisher was in the match. First, I'd like to give a little thumbs up to Charlotte's intro. It's a badass tune. And obviously, Rhea dressed as Vegeta. Possibly an intentional colour scheme, as we know what happened. The character work was great. They were shouting at each other, drawing lines. This is my ring, that sort of thing. The strikes were great. Like, the blows were very Japan. I was like, this is pretty fucking stiff looking. Like, I believe these people are hurting each other. Limb work was good. We saw limb work. Actual storytelling through limb work. Solid strikes, low on moves. Good match, but I would have to say I disagreed with the ending. So I gave it a B overall. What did you think, Morg?
This was the best in-ring match of the weekend. Nothing is worse by putting Charlotte Flair in it. Last year's WrestleMania, when she was inserted into the triple threat. Nothing is worse by putting Charlotte Flair into it. But I am not a big Charlotte Flair fan. She's good, but I don't like her character at all in the slightest. And not just the fact she's a heel. She's a good wrestler. She has never really blown me away in the same way that other women's wrestlers have.
Other women's wrestlers in this match.
That being one of them. She has not blown me away in the way Ember Moon did, in the way that Asuka did, in the way that Kairi Sane did, in the way that Io Shirai has. Toni Storm is different. She didn't blow me away. I am biased towards her because of her character is basically, I'm a Motley Crue fan.
I mean, I saw a punk class dressed in Vegeta Dragon Ball Z costume wander down to the ring. I picked a side, shall we say.
Vince should not be allowed nice things. So both times the NXT girls who have been dominant came up and were beaten by the main event girls, both of whom came from NXT and both of whom were former NXT champions. That is fair. But this was not the right decision. Charlotte winning again. Charlotte ended Asuka's undefeated streak and should not have done so.
Didn't Charlotte beat both Kabuki warriors at once, from what I've been told?
Possibly, or certainly one after the other. Charlotte took the belt, which caused Becky to turn heel, which then caused Becky to turn major face.
Right.
Charlotte
Okay.
is pushed like a heel Hulk Hogan. She is pushed because she is a Flair, but she is not like her dad. Her dad made a career out of making the other person look fantastic and then winning. Charlotte does not make the other person look fantastic and then win. Charlotte just has a good match and then
Yeah,
wins.
I'm not gonna lie. A lot of her shit talking. I saw one on Twitter actually. Rhea Ripley had put up something like, I may have lost, but I'm doing what I'm doing best," which was her working out in the ring, in her gym or whatever. And Charlotte had commented, "tapping out" or something like that, and I was like, "That's a bit shit. You don't need to like try and bury her on, social media as well. It's not like you actually won the match. It's not a real fight."
Yeah,
Um,
everyone likens her to her dad, who is generally regarded as, certainly from that era, the greatest wrestler. It's not an era that I necessarily like the style of, but I understand why, and I understand why Ric Flair is such a legend. It is because when he went into a match, he never beat a nobody. He went into the match, made the other guy look fantastic. So when he beat them, he beat a somebody. It didn't matter who they were and what their skills were. And
like
Charlotte,
Jericho and Cody in AEW's. Well,
yeah,
Jericho everywhere. You know what I
Charlotte
mean?
is Hulk Hogan with Ric Flair's skills. She is John Cena with CM Punk's ring skills. And yeah, Rhea should have won this match. Rant over. I will go on about this forever.
Well, I'm going to provoke you a little bit more because the argument that got made to me about Charlotte winning was that she would now go to NXT and it would draw more watchers because people wish to see main event people like Charlotte Flair. I'd argue that most of the people who are picking AEW or NXT are actually watching for that sort of indie cruiserweight, scruffier kind of wrestling almost. People watched NXT because it was Triple H's indie project. Turning it into a Vince McMahon product is not going to win more winners from the people who wanted Triple H's indie product. You know what I mean?
To be fair, I don't think that's necessarily. Charlotte came from NXT. She is one of the originators of the women's revolution that happened in NXT. But really, she was a bystander next to Sasha and Bayley. They were the ones who main evented the first takeover. They had the first WWE pay-per-view with a women's match, even though it was an NXT pay-per-view with a women's match in the main event. Charlotte was not in that, but neither of those are tall and blonde, which is very well known for being a Vince standard.
Yeah, obviously. Look at the 90s.
Charlotte is not going to hurt being in NXT. NXT women are going to have Io Shirai versus Charlotte is going to be fantastic. Bianca Belair versus Charlotte is going to be fantastic. My other favourite, Tegan Nox versus Charlotte, is going to be fantastic. There's a lot of good matches that can come up. The problem I see is the fact that, so what you're suggesting is that you're going to move a load of your main WWE eyes onto NXT by moving Charlotte. But Charlotte's not likable. I'm not going to go and watch NXT all of a sudden because you've moved Charlotte there. I might have done if you'd moved Becky, or if Bayley or Sasha had gone back.
Yeah, I got you.
Charlotte's not got the fan base for me. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but she's an obnoxious heel who
wins all the time.
Yeah, and she doesn't draw eyes in the same way as someone like Bayley back when she was a face, not new heel Bayley. Or even moving Ember Moon back, having now given her a rub on the main roster and sending Ember Moon back.
Look who all these women are.
Ember Moon is amazing. She's currently out injured.
That's another note for me. Ember Moon. That name does at least sound familiar.
She's the war goddess.
Oh, nice.
Sorry, that's what they tried to nickname her. Her original nickname was the She-Nom, which was a much cooler nickname.
Like Phenom. Brilliant. I love it.
She's like a werewolf Undertaker.
All right, wicked. I'm fucking down for that. She could be now. She's
also the other Dungeons and Dragons player in wrestling. Openly Dungeons and Dragons player in wrestling.
She's come out as a D&D player.
She's been out for a while. She did the. There's a WWE I think it's on Austin Creed. Xavier Woods is Up, Up, Down, Down. They had a couple of D&D games.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Fair cop. Nerds in wrestling is spreading. So, do you think you've got your Charlotte Flair rage out?
Yes.
So we're giving it a bit. It was a good match, but fuck Vince McMahon is
pretty much
kind of great. Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
As I said, I would have given that an A. The match, I would have given it an A based on the match, trying to avoid the ending. The ending brings it down to an F for me, but no, the match itself, I think, was the match of the in-ring match of the weekend.
It's definitely one of my higher rated ones that don't include supernatural powers.
Oh, what? Yes, we didn't get your rating. What was your rating for the Boneyard match?
Oh, S. It was fabulous.
Yeah.
That was a full fucking Jack Burton. That was Big Trouble in Little China good. I was in.
Yeah, I thought that was an S. So after that, we had Bobby Lashley with Lana versus Aleister Black, and Aleister wins with the Black Mass after Lana tells Lashley to not use finisher number 1, but to use a different finisher. What did you think of the match, and what was your score?
First of all, I'd like to compliment Bobby Lashley on his body shape. That man is a beast. He looks like he was sculpted as some kind of invading Greek enemy to depict a tiny upcoming hero going against him. That man is Titan-shaped. Jesus Christ. It was solid. It was slow. Not a lot of personality, and I'm not sure Lana's got enough charisma to act as somebody else's personality. I like Aleister Black, and he does all the sort of things I enjoy. He's got a cool look. And he could also have supernatural powers now.
He's been down to be the next Undertaker by fans for a while.
I think he'd be really good at it, because I think like an alternative, sort of more modern interpretation of a cult man would really work. Diving headbutt into a roundhouse kick, I honestly believe will make you lie down for a 3 count. It was an alright little match. See, it was fine. I had a good time. I wasn't mind blown. I wasn't particularly bored. Mostly because Lashley can throw Aleister Black around like nothing, and Aleister Black can flip about like anything. Yeah, it was alright. Solid, short match.
Yeah.
Not mind blown.
I'm totally with you. The only thing I was a bit gutted about was that you didn't get to see the thing that Aleister Black does when he has the person on the floor and he picks them up with his foot and then delivers the Black Mass. He does normally do it to jobbers, to be fair.
I typed Aleister Black, Black Mass with GIF on the end, and I got to watch a selection of them.
Yes.
That roundhouse kick looks a lot better, more badass than a super kick.
It does.
I'll throw this out here. A lot of people really like super kicks, especially when delivered by a certain man, but that rounder is so fast. So fast.
Yeah, it looks legitimately like he has just kicked your head off as well, especially when who you put him against. So, yeah. See, after that, we had Dolph Ziggler with Sonya Deville versus Otis, and then Otis wins with the Caterpillar after Mandy Rose comes in and low blows Ziggler.
There's a little bit of Dolph Ziggler in all of this. I think this is when I started noticing the WrestleMania moment comments. The match was okay. Fine, I suppose. Ziggler's good. I enjoy Otis in a lot of ways. He makes me laugh. I think he's got a good gimmick. I think maybe he works better in a tag team where you can bounce him in and out so you can get a bit more of a moment. Obviously, this was his storyline, so you've got to conclude that, so you can't have other large man with him. The Otis distraction really didn't I didn't buy it when woman who's not Mandy Rose, evil heel woman as revealed by
Sonya Deville.
Sonya Deville. Maybe I'm just used to really high quality distractions at ringside, but she sort of stood up, distracted the ref, and then Otis just went over to look at her, and I was like, "Oh, all right." I mean, surely you have to accept that wrestlers, will be distracted by whatever. But I don't know, just he didn't really seem distracted. Maybe it took too long. Otherwise, I liked both people in the match. I wasn't really bothered. I was kind of hoping they'd break the 90s rom-com paradigm with the end. And I know everybody really wanted Otis to get back with Mandy due to the love story and such like. But I don't know. I just think that maybe you could have taken it in a different direction rather than big, standard, unattractive man wins the beautiful woman. I mean, I'm sure lots of people are happy, and it's a very classic story. Talking more about the story than the match.
I think
I'm go-
it was a match of a story. I think that's entirely what this was.
So I gave it a C. It was fine. The wrestling didn't blow my mind. People who were on chat with us got quite excited by Otis winning, so that must be good. Yeah, C. Average TV match didn't really blow my mind. I expect to see a bit more power from a power man doing cool big slammy things. I do love his caterpillar though. That makes me laugh. I hope this storyline doesn't get vinced into something awful, as it's already a bit 90s rom-com for me.
I think leave it alone. You've done well. She didn't turn on him, and hopefully she doesn't turn on him this week, which is what I was
Just
expecting.
instantly vinced.
Yeah. This it told the story. It continued the story. I quite liked the fact WWE don't very often do the bigger guy who shouldn't gets the Vince McMahon wank bank fantasy woman. Because let's be honest, that's exactly what Mandy is. Mandy has been improving as a wrestler. I love Sonya Deville. She's really good.
Oh, cool. I'll have to see her actually do some things. But from what I've seen of watching this storyline in GIFs and short video, because she seems like a fun, nice person who genuinely gets on with everybody. But I know that's not really why we assess wrestlers. Oh, she looks lovely. I'm sure she's wonderful in person. But that's enough for me.
Yeah, Sonya's a big proponent. She's gay and a big proponent of the LGBT community as well.
Oh, awesome.
She normally
Weirdly,
has. I noticed now she's being a major heel, she didn't have her pride flag in her back pocket, which she normally has. Sorry, you were about to say.
It actually secures me a little bit that as much as having a lesbian in a relationship with a straight man for theatre, obviously you have to discount relationships in wrestling because they're actors as opposed to things, but it's a little bit more comfortable to see a woman who can act with a man who she's in no way interested in, but may very well get on with him very well, as opposed to Rusev's and his actual wife cuckolding story.
I think we've got crosswise there. Sonya was the one being the heel with Dolph.
Okay, sorry. All right. Well, completely discredit my point then.
Which that's what makes the story a little weird. Anyway, so after that match, we had the Edge's in-ring match return. He had returned at the Royal Rumble to a huge pop, and I marked out massively.
Oh yeah, I marked out and I watched only that scene. I was really excited to see Edge back. Fair play to him. He was a childhood favourite.
These are my notes. This is Edge versus Randy Orton, and Edge wins with the concerto eventually. What did you think of the match, and what score did you give it?
I think this is going to be the match where I may disagree with more WWE fans. I loved the disguise start. I thought the clock with the camera was, actually having Randy disguised as the cameraman was quite clever as opposed to him sneaking up through nobodies. You know what I mean?
That was a callback to Edge doing it versus Taker.
Oh, really? Double points then. It's not upping its grade. It's amazing to me how wrestlers in Iron Man matches start with so low stamina. Once again, I'm going to complain about continuity in the series here. We all know wrestlers get easily distracted. Standard. That's a wrestler thing. Refs get knocked down to one bump. Refs only have one hit point. Wrestlers can't climb ladders. These are things we know. These are what exist in the world. So if 20 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago, I've watched Charlotte Flair kick out of Rhea Ripley's finisher in 2 after, just being opened up on with a few blows. Why would I believe Edge would stay down from an 8 count from his first little bounce? And I hate that. It was just so long. So long. Just so much lying down. This was the cut and edited version, you know that, right? This is what they chose to go with. I can remember approximately 2 moments. 3 if we count the cameraman. There was that cool thing where Edge jumped up, held onto the ceiling grate, then dropped onto an elbow drop on the table. That was baller. And the concerto. They may have thrown some wrenches at some point. It had bad pacing, especially it was edited. No fun, low moves. Like, I know Randy is often criticised for having slow-paced matches and bringing them down, but I generally quite like Randy Orton. I think he's got really good presence. Like, he actually moves in like a cat-like way and slithers about. I enjoy Randy Orton. I enjoyed Edge back in the day. I did not enjoy this match. And everybody I've talked to has gone, it was a good match if you take off 10 minutes. Or, it would have been a good match if you'd edited it down to like 15 minutes. Or, it would have been a good match if they'd done this. They didn't do that. They didn't edit it down. Very few things happened. The only point I cheered is when they got the little pushy weights rack out, and I was hoping for a Mortal Kombat stage fatality. I gave it a D. Just because you've got lots of sets doesn't mean you have to use them. Just because a match is long doesn't mean it's good. And when most of the match, you can just hear Randy Orton moaning in his real way, going, but so much lying down. I do not know how anybody could appreciate that match realistically. They can't take many big, solid, chunky bumps because they're on solid floors. Slamming people into picture frames looks badass until you realise not even the plastic or anything split. Badly paced, too long, unnecessary, boring. D.
Yeah, I'm down with the. It should have been 15 minutes shorter. I think the problem was that they tried to have their standard two legends match, which normally goes a bit longer. It's the Triple H match, where he tries to have 20 odd minutes and he should probably have 15, which happens most WrestleManias.
Yeah.
They tried to have that match. They shouldn't have. They should have edited it down much more, especially as they weren't in front of a crowd.
Like Edge can't do shit. Edit it. Boom.
They went, and it's Randy Orton. He's not fast. I'm got to say, unfortunately, I agree with you. I think for the match we got a lower grade. I think had they edited it down to 15 minutes of them beating I don't like last man standing matches anyway. I find them dull.
They're so boring, aren't they?
I think it should have been a Falls Count Anywhere. This should have been.
Which is the one where you stack up wins? Is it Iron Man? Pins over time.
Iron Man, but you want a longer. Yeah, or they could have done a 30-minute Iron Man, a Falls Count Anywhere Iron Man. I think this would have been better as a Falls Count Anywhere match. I think you could have had exactly the same spots. You wouldn't have had the ref being there every 2 minutes shouting and them lying on the floor. You could have had pins they were kicking out of. You could have had last-minute pins. I think that would have made it more exciting.
Yeah, no, you're right. It would have added just being able to throw some pins in and do some stuff. Yeah.
I think it would have been a lot more exciting. You could have done the big move spots to go for the pin and just had the Edge just wouldn't stay down no matter what Randy tried.
I'd like to point out they could have got an S if they'd have, when they'd made it to the van. We discussed this whilst we were watching it, and it had been Christian driving the van, and we'd had the two wrestling on top of a moving van.
Yes. Yeah, that would
we all laugh, but there has been a match in a moving van before.
Yes, there has. I can't remember who it was.
Dustin Rhodes.
I think it's Dust. I think it's Dust. Yeah. Yes.
Goldust.
Goldust. Yeah.
And someone else.
So after that, we went to Austin Theory and Angel Garza with Selena Vega versus the Street Profits for the Raw Tag Team Championship. Street Profits win after Montez Ford hits his amazing frog splash. After the match, there's a beat down, and then Montez's wife, Bianca Belair, runs in to make the save. What do you think of the match, and what score did you give it?
All right. It's more sort of up to the end bit, because when the long-haired lady comes out. Lucha people versus Street Profits. My first comment is, thank God, some fun. This was much needed after that last match. There was the guy who tore off his trousers like Lord Taishi. That was fun. The two dudes in red waving ropes. That's the Street Profits. They're great. I've never seen them in a match before. I had a fabulous time. They looked like they were having a fabulous time, and that rubs off on me. I do wish La Sombra was there. I believe he was originally booked. Andrade. Just because He is the man who founded Los Ignorables, which my personal hero Naito was in. Yeah, I had a good time. I could have taken. I wish it had been longer. I could only give it a C because it was so short. The enjoyableness of it, that little pop back, and I didn't quite get the end. One of my comments is this new lass is going to lose to Becky then after she came out.
No, she's going to lose to Charlotte.
Oh boy!
Well,
yeah, I'm not sure the run-out scene added anything.
Likely, Bianca will win against Charlotte.
Oh, I heard she was going to whatever show the Street Profits were on.
It depends. If Bianca stays on NXT, I think that's a lot of people making an assumption. I think it was just, she just did the running because she's Montez's wife, and they needed a woman to come and beat up Selena to stop the 3-on-1.
Yeah. Yeah, but otherwise good. But I gave it a C. I would have given it a B if it had been longer or maybe a bit more relevant. But all in all, I had good fun in that match, and it was really needed. God, was it needed.
So then we move on to, this is quite a long intro piece from me. Tamina versus Naomi versus Lacey Evans versus Sasha Banks versus Bayley. It's the 5-way elimination match for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Tamina is eliminated first by everyone. Naomi is then eliminated by Sasha by submission with the bank statement. Sasha then eliminated by Lacey Evans with the women's right. And Lacey is eliminated by Bayley after Sasha helps. What did you think of the match? What score did you give it?
I really enjoyed it. I gave it a high B, possibly an A. It was solid. There was not much standing about, which is often a problem with large matches. Not lots of people lying on the floor. That didn't happen. All of the women were good. Disco Lady, is it Jimmy Snuka's daughter or something? Did I hear granddaughter?
No. So Tamina, who's the big scary one who was eliminated first, is Jimmy Snuka's daughter, if I remember correctly. Disco Lady is Naomi, and that's one of the Usos. And again, they're twins. I never know which is which and which one she's married to. I can never remember. She's one of their husbands. She is the wife of one of the Usos. I'm imagining it was I'm imagining it was Jimmy, the one who was there, but I could be completely wrong.
The storytelling was good. I completely understood what was going on between ex-face Cleopatra, Bayley, and Sasha Banks. Learning names as I go. I picked up relationships between other people. There was lots of character going on. Interesting moments. Lacey's punch looks really good, and I think she got that face feel Becky didn't in her match when she was going up against the 2-on-1. That little thing where Bayley swung around the punch and she went from one into the other and punched Sasha Banks out the ring. Yeah, I had a great time, especially with the finish. I got a real feel for double face versus heel and heel turning on heel. Yeah, it could possibly be my match of the night over the Charlotte one, if I'm honest. What did you think?
I quite enjoyed it. Lacey was a great heel in NXT. They messed her around a bit when she came to Raw. They turned her from this sort of badass. She wasn't a feminist heel, because that would be unfair to say that. She was a strong woman heel in NXT.
I mean, that's the better way of doing it. If I'm honest. I'd rather see a character who's strong than going, I'm a feminist, because that almost costs the point of being feministic.
Yeah, exactly. They did
moment of philosophy there.
But she did a very good, and she was all about being classy. She was all about being a classy lady. So she wears a lot of the sort of the 50s, I think it's 50s, 20s, that sort of era look. And then they brought her into Raw and she was the sassy Southern Belle, at which point me and the Raptor both went, no, that's not who Lacey is at all. No.
Whereas I don't have any previous connection.
She has the women's right, if you know what I mean. That is her finisher.
That made me laugh.
Thought that was the best punch
when they took out her arm, if she'd have done the women's left, I'd have pissed my pants. That's what I was really hoping for.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. I thought it was a good match. It told the main story and the important. This was a match that needed to tell a story to get us to the point where we can finally have Sasha versus Bayley on the main roster.
Yeah, no, that was so obvious and so well done. Like when Sasha came back out to help her, I was like, oh, this is turned. Maybe they are really friends. But then she kept looking at the belt, and I was like, and had really good body language and things you could read. And I was like, oh, this is good. I understand. Hooray! That might be the best explained match.
Yeah, what was your overall score for that one then in the end?
High B, possibly an A, and I'm struggling because you seem to really like the you know WWE better, but you know what, I'm going to stick by my guns. I'm going to give it an A. It is the highest ranking non-supernatural match in my Wrestlemania, I believe.
So then we move on to my highlight of this Wrestlemania, the Firefly Funhouse. I have here the Firefly Funhouse. The Fiend Bray Wyatt versus John Cena. The Fiend wins after stuff happens.
Destroys him with psychological damage? Magic?
So yeah, what did you think of this? What score have you given it? And then I'll give my thoughts on it.
I had a wonderful time. The start confused me by John Cena glitching into the funhouse room, which may or may not still exist. And I was like, all right, I've obviously kept up with bits of the funhouse stuff. I almost got lured back to watching some WWE with the funhouse stuff until Goldberg smashed the Fiend. I enjoyed. At the start, when he was wandering through blackness, I was wondering if I was going to get a bit bored. I was like, okay, this is going on for a little bit. And then he started going through time periods and his previous gimmicks, like people have joked on the internet. Whilst Bray occasionally taunted him, occasionally got upset. It was fabulous. It was wonderful. Some great moments. The Fiend coming up behind him was brilliant. John Cena just getting to go out and be different kinds of John Cena, I'm guessing he really appreciated. Especially as afterwards, all of his Instagram pictures were just changed to pictures of Bray Wyatt in a variety of ways. I think it's a step more into the ludicrous, away from where WWE exists in canonicity, and I don't think you could have done this without the Boneyard match before it. But it was wonderful, and I gave it an S rank because it's a magical clown fighting John Cena and then possibly deleting him from reality. How can you not appreciate that?
So yeah, this was a phenomenal piece. I'm stealing this from a review I read of it. This was a phenomenal piece of art, and I'm not meaning to sound pretentious. This was brilliant. This was WWE owning up to some of its mistakes, taking the piss out of itself, even Vince allowing to take the piss out of himself with things that have come out, with the "this is the shit," which is the thing that Vince says when he finds something absolutely brilliant and hilarious.
It's such good shit.
That's it. Sorry. Yeah, it's such good shit. This was phenomenal. It played back to the Bray Wyatt match versus John Cena previously at WrestleMania, where Cena won. Cena has regularly gone over people when he shouldn't have.
Oh, they covered all that beautifully.
Even he has admitted that the one against the Nexus, I believe I have heard that John Cena has begrudgingly sort of said, yeah, I probably shouldn't have beaten the Nexus. We ruined the story, which is something that both Edge and Chris Jericho said should never have happened. And they're two people whose opinions I very much respect, especially Chris Jericho, the greatest wrestler currently alive.
He is fabulous.
As we have previously said. I thought everything about this was just amazing. I loved the ending. That John Cena had done this promo previously where everyone had said, oh my God, he has called Bray Wyatt overrated, overhyped. You know, he has cut this promo. And they censored the promo because he did a version of it that got cut where he really sort of laid into the roster.
Oh, really?
About none of them having, none of them wanting it, and I believe that it was probably cut, trimmed. I believe he probably just freestyled the whole promo, threw as much shade as he could, so that when the Fiend pinned him, it could be played back and everything he'd said, because that's what amazing. They did, was about him. It wasn't, I'm going to put out the most overhyped, overrated wrestler. And they played that over when John Cena's getting pinned. The Funhouse, I believe, exists in Bray Wyatt's head. I think that's how it works. I believe it. And I think that's where it was. I think you're right with psychological damage. Cena turned heel eventually, finally, after all these years, became the cool, because everyone said he should be the cool heel like Hulk Hogan was. And one of the reasons they didn't turn him heel was because what are you all going to do? You're just going to cheer him when he's a heel. So it's a pointless... I've heard some bad stories about John Cena. I've heard 2 this week where apparently he wasn't always brilliant backstage, and there were times when people have said he stood on their pushes. But generally, you mainly do hear stuff about John Cena as a person being a genuinely nice guy, a bit like Roman Reigns,
he seems lovely in the real world, but we all know the rest of the WWE behind the scenes is a lawless land filled with madness.
I thought this was phenomenal. If we ranked double S's, if we allowed double S matches, this was a phenomenal thing. I enjoyed this so much, and I know we were on Discord chat together, and it was the silence from our friend Mr. Wade after it, and there's just me going, that was amazing. And it gets better the second time you watch it and the third time.
I can honestly say there's only been a couple. That's the third time. Hold on now. I've watched all of WrestleMania twice. Are you on 3? You're going to be like, I've watched this piece 7 times now.
Only the Firefly Funhouse. I have watched that 3 times. And you notice more bits that you didn't catch before.
Yeah, I can imagine there's a bunch of references. I've seen breakdowns and stuff. You might need to go into that one more, if I'm honest. It's not really my area. What's your favourite hidden reference?
There were so many just little bits. The going into the 80s and Bray Wyatt almost playing the Hulk Hogan character, and Cena being that 80s character that Vince wanted him to be, the new Hulk Hogan, because they were always looking for the new Stone Cold, and they got the new Hulk Hogan, and that's what Vince pushed no matter what.
Yeah.
The NWO reference, him coming out and turning a heel, the flashbacks
that was wicked.
of
I wasn't expecting that.
All of Cena's in-character greatest failures. If Cena wins, we riot from One Night Stand, one of the 2 John Cena, in my opinion, S-ranked matches. CM Punk kissing him goodbye. CM Punk was on WrestleMania 36. That's an obvious highlight for me.
So was Eric Bischoff.
Eric Bischoff. Bray Wyatt, the ruthless aggression promo at the beginning with Bray being Kurt Angle. Just the whole thing was just absolutely phenomenal. And as I say, that ending with John Cena saying, I'm going to put to bed the most overrated, overhyped superstar, playing down.
Yeah.
And fair play to Cena for doing that to his character, for saying those things. Basically, Bray Wyatt played the smart fans from the last 15 years of John Cena.
It was wicked. But sorry, it's the question of canonity. It's the question of back to the setting. Like, do you remember? You're an old wrestling fan. I have some memories from my childhood of terrible things in 80s wrestling. Do you remember Papa Shango cursing the Ultimate Warrior with voodoo?
I do.
And he black stuff came out of his hair or something. What was he vomiting? I don't remember. We're back in that land. I mean, are they going to find John Cena just like comatose with his mind destroyed by a phantasmal killer? Or has he just been deleted from reality?
Or does he come back as a heel?
As his previous... Well, it's old gimmicks currently, but that also tends to be a flip of alignment, doesn't it?
He could come back as the entitled old veteran.
Has Bray Wyatt absorbed the powers of the Lake of Reincarnation from when he was put into it? Is that where this comes from? It's a magic clown and a pyromancer teleporting old dude. These are canon things in the setting. If they forget these or give up on these, I'm going to be very upset.
I think we're going... Taker and The Fiend, they have both been played as the supernatural characters. These wouldn't have worked had they suddenly decided to do something like this with the women's 5-way or with Charlotte and Rhea.
Yeah, no,
it wouldn't have
ludicrous.
worked. The Fiend and Taker were the 2 characters you could get away with it, and other people can step into their worlds.
I'm so happy. They'd best keep it up.
I hope they do. Right, so
Oh,
It's been a
stretching this
long
out.
stretch, and now we get to the end, and we get to the final match, which was for the WWE Championship. Brock Lesnar versus Drew McIntyre, and Drew wins after 3 Claymore kicks in a row.
Would you believe I've done a transcription of this match as well?
Yes.
Kick, punch, 5 corner shoulder tackles, Claymore, suplex, punch then suplex, 2 punches then a suplex, 3 F5s, 3 Claymores, finish. Now, in benefit of this match, it is like twice the length of the previous one, so it's got that going for it. And we had Wadey on the call with us explaining to me why this is the end of a long storyline and how this is like a big drive and like a big thing for Drew Galloway, and he deserves this, and thus it should be ranked higher because of all of this story. So I've ranked it shit D. I've upped it by 1 whole grade for the storyline and the fact it's twice as long as the other one. It's not a main event, is it? Let's be honest.
No,
Like,
they should have closed. They should have 2 years in a row closed with the women's match, and they should have closed with Charlotte Rhea.
I have trained in wrestling now twice. I've been to 2 wrestling sessions shut down to the coronavirus. Each one is 3 hours long. I'm pretty sure this year I have wrestled more than Brock Lesnar has in the last 5. And we know he can go. Didn't he do a Royal Rumble where he was actually badass and was in from the start?
Yeah, he went halfway through, and then Drew eliminated him after Ricochet low-blowed him. I'm going to retract what I just said, actually. One of the reasons that this needed to be the main event was because Drew, and I'm very hot on this, Drew won the Royal Rumble. But so did Charlotte. But Drew won the Royal Rumble. They've been very careful in recent years about saying a championship. So Charlotte won a championship opportunity at WrestleMania. Drew won the chance to main event WrestleMania. Last year, Becky won the chance to main event WrestleMania, and Seth won a championship. So they have been quite. They were.
Okay, I was about to judge it, but yeah, if they're alternating, that's fine.
I think they're going with which is the best main event, and this in front of a crowd wouldn't have mattered. I think it would have hidden the fact. And
I don't think it would have to me.
I still think. I think if with a crowd there cheering on the Claymores, but yes, this was
gave it
just,
a D.
Yeah, I don't think as a match it's going to get a higher rating from us. We expect more from a match.
Especially a main event. Like, there has been some really good matches in here. There's been some fabulous pieces of theatre, but there's been some good and solid matches. And I think it's Wrestle-fucking-mania. I've come back to watch Wrestlemania. I've come back to the event built by Hogan. I've come back to where I've seen names like The Rock and other famous WWE wrestlers who are very popular. CM Punk, you like him. I've come back to watch what is essentially the throne of wrestling pay-per-views, which should be like, the moment of showing this to the Western world. We won't count Japan. It's got a better WrestleMania. I've come back to the home of Western wrestling, to this edifice, the WWE, its greatest event, its rising champion, fighting its longest lasting ultimate caveman in the main event of the biggest show on a second day, a 2-dayer, and it's 5 minutes of finishers, and then it's over. It's fine wrestling, but that doesn't make it a WrestleMania title match. I've seen more impressive, longer matches on YouTube by Googling Chikara. I mean, no, not to shit on Chikara, but it's it's not a particularly serious place. That's where Chuck Taylor defeated the Fire Ant people with his invisible hand grenade, and I'd probably rather watch that match. And that's bollocks.
Yeah, you're completely right. So yeah, that's our tie-off. So overall, what score did you give WrestleMania 36?
I gave it a C. If that was 3 weeks of independent wrestling shows, I'd probably have been mostly satisfied with 2 incredible highlights. It was good TV, but was it WrestleMania TV? Or is this what we've come to expect? You'd know better.
WrestleMania went through a few years when it was one incredible match and a bunch of some okay. You get maybe another really good match, and then the recent years has become the years of the wrong person won WrestleMania.
I mean, apparently so in the women's league.
yeah. This has become the wrong. And last year it was the right people won, but WrestleMania itself was too long because it was about 7 hours. So splitting it over 2 nights, I'm hoping that's a thing they're going to do permanently going forward.
Oh, I was a lot more appreciative of this. I remember many days of lying like in a pizza surrounded by Jack Daniels bottles till like 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
Crying for it to end.
Just because you actually wanted to watch the main event, and then, yeah.
Imagine a 7-hour show with that Randy match in it.
Oh, God.
I might have killed myself. From boredom.
But yeah, so that is our WrestleMania review. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back on Sunday when normal service will be resumed with our AEW show.
I think I need to taunt another 10 more minutes out of you here. I think I'm armed. I think you've forgotten that you need me to explain why the Boneyard match was better than the Funhouse match.
Oh, okay.
Because I've been having some thinking about this, and I've watched it. And I loved both pieces of media. And arguably, I think the Funhouse is probably the better piece of theatre. But I think the Boneyard fits better into the WWE canoninity. The Boneyard, we've seen fights outside, we've seen street fights, we've seen all manner of wrestlers meeting up in weird locations throughout wrestling history. And we know they can go there. We know that The Undertaker can teleport and control a variety of effects. We've seen this before. We know that he rides a motorbike and dresses a bit like his 2000s Limp Bizkit sponsored version. And I think that the Boneyard, with its Buffy-esque edge, fits better into the WWE and, in fact, allows the Funhouse to exist rather than pretty much jumping to reality warping, if I'm honest. Like, I loved it, but it's reality warping. That's some fucking Marvel-grade shit there. The Undertaker is a low-grade X-Man right now. But Bray Wyatt is a full-blown Avengers threat.
I don't think you could have had the Firefly Funhouse without the Boneyard match first. I think you had to have that to prepare people for it. If you're going in as a casual fan who has not watched something like Lucha Underground, which is something I think is very important. I know we joke a lot about how we've never watched it because it's impossible to watch it.
I've been advertising the hell out of Lucha Underground.
Lucha Underground is something, it's very difficult to watch over here. And
it's all on Daily Motion. Not that I'd ever recommend going there.
2 people who've watched that. I don't think you could have had the Firefly Funhouse without the more standard, like you say, the Buffy, the action TV show version, and then going into, so this is what the Undertaker does. Now you're going to see what the Fiend does, and we know the Fiend is all about psychology and is cerebral, and is Bray Wyatt, who is in a brilliant promo. The reason I think that the Firefly Funhouse was better was because it's those so many years. To me, as someone who watched WWE through the John Cena years, and someone who knows that John Cena is a good wrestler now, he learned, and the chance of you can't wrestle stopped, and the fact that you
when he learned his 6th move.
Yeah, but you can also have periods of time where you'd moan if you heard that John Cena was in a match with somebody, and then into more recent years where you'd go, oh, good. You're going to have a good match because he can have a good match repeatedly. But people who went through that era of just Cena being pushed down our throats, the Firefly Funhouse was very cathartic. So whereas I can understand what you're saying, I feel the Firefly Funhouse was better because as someone who's a long-term older WWE fan for whom John Cena was not my target babyface, I was not part of his target audience to have the cathartic.
So
release.
It's essentially meta catharsis, evil clown versus I'm going to go with more, as ludicrous as it is, more consistent within setting, easier story to jump on board. I'm happy for us to go in different directions on this, but I doubt very much we'd agree on films if we ever discuss those.
I think that's very much the. I think that's very much where it stands. I loved and I want more of the Boneyard match. I don't want more of the Firefly Funhouse in the future. Although exactly. I think the Firefly Funhouse was better overall as a piece of art.
A better piece of art, worse for a TV show for me.
Yeah.
Currently, fuck knows where this goes.
I think on the highway beating up random. I think your idea of the new sort of like TV show of Taker goes and beats up people as like a lone warrior on a motorbike.
I just don't want it to get too high budget. I want it to feel like a 2000 Sci-Fi Channel series. You know what I mean?
I think it's going to.
It's wonderful. And if Bray Wyatt occasionally,
it was a high budget Broken Universe. It was the Broken Universe and it was the guy behind was one of the people who was behind the original Broken Universe stuff. Jeremy Borash, who worked with Matt and Jeff behind the scenes in TNA to do Amazing. A lot of the Broken Universe, was apparently behind the scenes a lot in the Boneyard match.
On two advantages, one sad point. Imagine Broken Matt could probably have done the Broken thing in WWE now, and people would have been a lot more on board just because the Undertaker would have set the premise in the same way the Funhouse.
Yeah.
But a lot less people are going to be able to complain about bullshit Matt Hardy broken stuff in AEW now. I'm safe from WWE fans calling it terrible.
That's true.
This is ludicrous. Let me tell you about the time an evil clown used magic to destroy John Cena.
It's fair.
God, I hope they keep it up. I really do. I am amazed. And if they release this as a secondary series, I would subscribe to watch it. I'd have subscribed to Lucha Underground to watch that if that had been over here. Just a bit sad that Lucha Underground died before he could have got some extra traction. That's what happens when you don't look after your staff.
Yeah. So, I think now we have covered.
Yeah, I'll let you finish now.
Yeah, we have covered WrestleMania. It's over to you, Mr. Matt, to sign us off, I believe.
Thank you very much for being with us on this one. I hope you've enjoyed my somewhat out of the loop WWE stances on things and Morg's more educated guiding hand. Please, if you want us to do more of these, or you have any questions or subjects you'd like us to discuss on the show, we can be emailed at wrestleopinionated@gmail.com. That's all one word. You can find us at WrestleOP1, that's the number 1, on Twitter, Wrestle Opinionated on YouTube, and Wrestle Opinionated on Spotify and Anchor, all one word on Anchor, with a space on Spotify. Thank you very much for your time. We look forward to hearing from you, and I'll pass you over to Morg for the big goodbye.
So, all that's left to be said now is goodbye and good night.